2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us. Will my cheating partner ever change? Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
What's up, Tyler?
Brannon, how's it going, man?
Good. Hey, can I just start with a review here?
Of course, we love getting reviews.
Okay, let me see.
I like your scenery today. You're in a different spot, man. It's like the family game room instead of your office.
I got to mix it up, you know. Got to mix it up a little bit. So, yeah. All right. It says episode 382. Thank you, Brannon and Tyler. This podcast has helped me to understand the underlying causes of the husband's infidelity and integrity deficit and stop blaming myself. It has also helped me to detach from an unhealthy relationship and begin to move forward in my own truth. I heard so much of my own story in this caller's description of her struggle to remain married and keep her family together. Like her, I tried to manage and control the recovery, which didn't allow my husband to feel the consequences of his actions and inactions. I was ruled by fear of rejection and false hope from empty promises to do anything. I'm finally choosing to live values that my adult children can be proud of. Thank you to the brave callers that have the courage to share their story and seek help.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love when they relate to another guest and they get something from hearing that story. So, dude, I had an idea really quick.
Okay.
You know the whole Brannon thing?
Hey, at least they tried to reference you.
Yeah, no, I don't, just so I'm clear on this, I do not blame anybody that calls me Brannon at all. Like, really, that's how my name should be. And so
it went wrong at birth.
Yeah, I mean, you just missed one little letter. It would have changed my life. The anguish that I've gone through of, I just roll with it now. I don't even mention it. But my idea is to just change my name to Brannon. Just embrace it.
Hey, if there's ever a time for that with all the stuff that's happened over the last several years, you got people chanting it all the time now. Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah. So maybe I'll just change it to Brandon. In fact, speaking of this, to talk about stepping into the problem and the border, the whole Trump border, like fix the border. Let's just make Mexico our 51st state. Mexico's amazing. I love it.
We had a really great trip there.
It's
awesome. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
So we have an awesome question today, something to really dig into.
Yeah, absolutely. This was submitted by someone who came on to our website. So if you're interested, we'd love to be able to have you come and be a caller on the show. Therapybrothers.org is where you would go, and you can go and sign up to be a caller on the show. That's what we love to do, is talk to you in real life. But this was submitted by someone who went to the website and just put a question in. It's a pretty robust question, so I'm going to read it, Brandon, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll dive into it. It says, my unfaithful husband was a pastor of our local church who had a 6-month emotional and then physical affair with a much younger person in the congregation. We've been married 16 years, have 4 children. Initially, he intended to leave and pursue that relationship, and then 3 months post D-Day, he said he would stay and work on things. Most of the recovery work has been initiated by me, although when doing the material or counseling, he has invested but has not done any personal recovery work. He is by nature very withdrawal and avoidant, so it's hard to have conversations. I recently saw a message that says he feels he is just in the marriage for the kids, and he has still some bitterness towards me and knows I'm not to blame, but does feel that way. D-Day was a little over a year ago. I wonder, does recovery for someone who held a position take longer or look different, as betrayal is almost to all of the congregation?
Okay. Where do we begin with this one?
Well,
right?
there's layers to this. I mean, there's obviously the betrayal to not just the spouse, but the congregation part of it. But then it sounds like the essence to me of the real question is, how do I gauge whether or not my partner is sincere in what they're saying they want to do versus what they're doing? And if their recovery or healing path is being done in earnest and if it's honest?
To me, yes, what you just said. I think as you say that, like, we're both picking up on that question, but I'm hearing, like, in many ways, this guy is indicating that he is not wanting to stay married to her. But he's acting like he's in it for the kids, right? Is that how you read that?
Yeah, if I'm reading between the lines though, Brannon, it's like we've worked with people like this before a lot, and this is where I think it gets really confusing, and why this question is coming through the spouse here is that so many times when we work with someone who's had an affair or had some kind of an addiction or something, they actually don't even really fully know what they want yet either. So they go back and forth between this, like, well, I'm just going to go pursue this new relationship because that's what I really want and it makes me feel happy and this and that and the other. And then all of a sudden they have a different moment where they kind of get more into like their value system or something and go, actually, I've got a 16-year marriage and a wife and kids at home, and maybe I should go and try to make this work, and I should battle for this and I should fight for this. And then they start fighting for it, and it lasts a day or two or a week or 3 or 4 or a couple months. And then all of a sudden things get rough or bad or hard. And then they're back to going like, no, I'm out on this. I'm totally out. So then what happens is like this teeter-totter effect that's going on in the relationship, and the partner who's trying to figure out, hey, is my partner serious about their recovery or not? It's really hard to gauge whether or not that's sincere. And honestly, a lot of people will do what she's saying in the question is I'll stay for the kids, which in my opinion is more often than not, if that's the only factor, it's really, you're doing just as much damage by staying as you would be going.
So I'm going to say an angle to this that might be a little triggering or hard to hear, and I'm not, but there's a reason for it. And
let's just explore it. It doesn't have to be the only truth either, Brannon.
Yeah, and in no way am I justifying the behaviors of this guy. Like he's a liar. He cheated. It's not okay, and that's not cool. And I wonder what's going on behind the scenes. I wonder if his cheating is a cry for help, because he doesn't have the guts that it takes to actually be truly honest with her. I don't know. I don't know how miserable he is and locked in that relationship that he feels. And so he's in a roundabout way, kind of finding ways out of the relationship, but then feeling guilty, and sticking in the relationship. And he would do much better by being very honest with her, even if that honesty is really painful and really difficult, instead of, halfway in, halfway out. I'm cheating over here, but I want to stay for the kids over there. If you're miserable and you want out of your marriage, then get out of your marriage.
But don't
be
do
honest
this
to your spouse.
Be honest enough about it to actually go and have those real conversations. Show a little bit of integrity, if that's the case, because and I pick up on that too, Brannon, in the question, and that may or may not be the case in this situation, but a lot of times that is the case, right? Where,
there's some other difficult things that,
for him to say,
people trapped.
I just cheated on my spouse and I resent her because I just cheated on my spouse. Like, what? Like, anybody from the outside perspective is like, that dude is nuts. Like, take some accountability. But if he had deep-seated resentments that he never actually addressed with her, he's going to feel justified to do what he just did.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
And
what I'm trying to say,
even though his value system is probably not likely to line up with what he just did.
Right.
So now he's stuck in this place of justification of his feelings, but he never actually approaches it with honesty to actually address those things. And then he goes and acts out in a way that now puts him squarely with a big target on him. That's like, dude, like, you're an idiot. Like, what are you doing? And
I hate to call it a cry for help because it's a horrific thing that he did. I hate to call it that. But there was other ways that he could cry for help if he's in that situation. If he's, just like you said, like, how is he feeling resentment toward her after cheating on her? And who knows what's going on behind the scenes in that relationship, right?
But exactly. And likely whatever the resentment is that she's picking up on was probably there long before, and he never had the skill or the gumption or the ability or the courage to step in and actually have those conversations
or the integrity
before he made the stupid decision.
Yeah. And that's probably mixed too with just some lust and temptation and, the pleasures that you get from the cheating. And he decided to indulge in that. It's twofold what he gets out of this. He gets all of that stuff, but he also gets this, now I get a push out of my relationship here that I'm really unhappy in. So it's not cool to go about it that way. There's a better way, but maybe that's where he's coming from. And it's probably why she's feeling like, I don't understand, like, what do I do here? Because she's sensing where his heart is actually. Like, she can actually tell where his heart is. But that's a hard reality for her, because the reality is that he's not in love with her. He doesn't want to be in a relationship with her. And he's not going to create trust and safety and protect her heart and create intimacy and all of those things. That's the reality. And she knows that. So now it comes back to her of like, okay, what do you do now with yourself and your recovery, feeling that from him?
Yeah, well, and let's get into that side of it, because I think there's another part of that too, Brannon, which is on her side, there's likely this thing that she's observing, and she's saying, okay, I'm finding this message that he still resents me. He tells me he wants to leave, but now he says he wants to stay. He's pretty closed off a lot of the time, but then he does like the homework that we do, like when we order treatment stuff or whatever, but then I don't really get anything from him on what he's learning or what he's feels about the homework, but I know that he does it. She's actually getting kind of a mixed bag of stuff here. It's hard to, how does she start to separate out what's authentic when maybe even he doesn't know what's authentic yet, versus what's the writing on the wall saying in terms of him not really being genuine about it.
Here's the problem is when you've been betrayed or cheated on, in order to start actually trusting again, in order to start healing, you have to first be in a place where you're safe. And what happens a lot of times, what you were just talking about, Tyler, somebody cheats, and they are a bit ambivalent about whether they want to change or not. Yeah, they're sorry. They feel bad. Yeah, they don't want to hurt the family, but they don't actually want to change. Being in a relationship with somebody who's ambivalent about loving you and protecting you and creating trust and safety for you is not a safe environment. And so it's his ambivalence can be and needs to be separate from her recovery. And that's a lot easier said than done. But if he is going to, be totally motivated or totally unmotivated or somewhere in the middle, her recovery needs to persist and be independent of that. And she'll do different things in her recovery according to where that relationship is and what's going on in that relationship. But her recovery is not the recovery of the relationship.
So a different part of what you're saying then, Brannon, I want to confirm this, is that you're saying that for her question, she's basically saying, do I stay or go in this relationship? And what you're saying is it may take a minute for him to work out the ambivalence. And in the meantime, you still have the ability to go and take control of your own life by getting the safety and distance that you need and starting to move yourself forward, regardless of whether or not the marriage is going to repair itself or not. And in that time frame, he might work out the ambivalence, or you'll grow into a place of strength and clarity that sees the ambivalence and says, this isn't going to work for me.
Tyler, it's a catch-22, because in your head, you're saying, God, I want, and even in your heart, like, I want my family to stay together. I want my relationship to work. And if you go and you fortify yourself with good truth and support and recovery stuff, that if he's in this state of a lack of motivation, that will push you toward your relationship breaking apart, which feels counterproductive to what you want. And so then recovery becomes counterproductive to what you want. And you and I know, Tyler, that that's not actually true, because in the end, what most people want is peace. They want healing. They don't want to suffer.
Freedom.
They want freedom. And sometimes if you have the courage to step forward in that recovery, and it leads toward tension, it leads toward conflict, it leads toward change, sometimes the relationship thrives. And we've seen that with just some of our guests recently, actually. In the midst of hell, both of them have done their own work, and they have done good. Sometimes, and oftentimes even, that relationship dies. And so it feels backwards. It's like, dang it, don't empower me. Don't empower me to not settle for scraps. Like don't make me healthier, because I need to be as unhealthy as I need to be in this relationship with this unhealthy person.
For the sake of keeping something that I really
value. For the
value.
sake of protecting the relationship that I value.
That's a really rough spot to be in.
Right.
Yeah.
But really, Tyler, there's just one answer. And that it's a process and it's hard, but one answer is to step forward in your integrity and in your truth and in loving yourself, and then watch things unfold from there.
It seems, Brannon, that there's some steps that kind of need to be taken, generally speaking, when this happens. And the first thing you referenced, I think, is safety. And safety could be an emotional thing. It could be a physical distance thing. It could be a lot of different things. But establishing safety so that the trauma doesn't keep boiling over then allows you to then start doing some grounding stuff to plant your feet, start to see the landscape for what it is. And then as you start to see the landscape for what it is, you always have control over taking care of yourself, to working on taking care of your heart, working on taking care of your physical needs, working on setting yourself up to be able to make choices that you might need to make. And in choosing to do that kind of work, this is where the catch-22 is you were talking about. It may push me further into a decision that I don't really want to make, but it also moves me forward without having to wait for my partner to make any decisions.
Right.
And I can actually still fight for the relationship that I was designed to be in or that I deserve to be in by just taking care of myself in that manner. And as I take care of myself in that manner, it will either invite my partner to then level up and want to come join on a new plane, or it will be the tension of the rubber band expanding until it snaps.
Yep.
But even when it snaps, if that's what it comes to, I will already be in a better place emotionally, physically, because of the work that I've done to make that choice from a place of peace and a place of calm and a place of conviction rather than a place of just exasperation and frustration and burnout.
Yes. Yep. Tyler, I think of all the years that I've done this, and on the front end, somebody who's been cheated on, they look at like divorce as this just awful thing, this terrible thing. But they choose recovery, and their partner doesn't change or get motivated, and they end up divorced. And for everybody, they go through a process and things happen after that. But for most that I've seen, the ones who actually stand up for the truths that they believe in and the values that they have,
doing the work
boundaries
of
that they
recovery.
have, doing the work of recovery, they then create awesome stuff after they get safe and they get away from that unhealthy relationship. A lot of them get remarried. They step into new careers. Like, exciting new stuff happens because now they are healthier and they're not in a relationship that's pulling them back. Now, I want to bring up a part of this question that is important, which is he was a pastor and there was a congregation and he's cheating on somebody in the congregation. Now, she's put in this position of there's eyeballs on her. There's people watching. If she divorced,
Are you talking about the spouse, Brannon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The spouse, like the person that asked this question, she's put in a really bad position here because there's people watching. If she divorces the pastor and it blows it up even more, then what is everybody going to think? Their community, everything all around them. In her mind, it's pressure. All crumbling.
Yeah.
In her mind, the whole world is going to crash, change. And so there's more pressure to smile and try to keep it all together for the sake of the kids, the sake of the congregation, the sake of everybody else. And there's more pressure to do that because the ripple effects seems like it'll affect so many people. So what is she to do, Tyler?
It's that pressure. It's that social pressure that's there that makes it all even harder to sift through and make those grounded decisions. But again, and we believe in this, Brannon, we talk about this a lot in a lot of our other episodes, that living in the truth produces the best possible outcomes that could be there because you have to get to the truth. So her job is to take all of that information that she gets from outside sources, pressures, whatever else, friends, family, and to add it to the pool of everything else she's doing to take care of herself. Ultimately, I believe, to be wrestling with a higher power and to run all of that information through a grounded place between her and her higher power and the wrestle that's there. And then when she feels peace, when she feels conviction, when she feels strength, when she feels like, it's almost like, for a lot of my partners, I call it the surrender moment. There's like this calm in the storm. That's where the best decisions are made from, inside of a really bad situation. And there's probably going to be 100 different iterations of that process of getting grounded, getting to calm, making a decision, and then having something else blow up or having a partner decide they want back in, or, and then you can kind of continue to do your work trying to stay grounded and making as many decisions as possible from that place.
I'm watching the Churchill documentary on Netflix, and I'm a World War II. I love anything on it, and Churchill, the world literally was crumbling all around him, like literally, and like he saved the world. If anybody saved the world, it was Churchill. And he knew what truth was, and he stayed in the storm, and he stayed in the fight, and he stayed in the war, and he stayed steady no matter what. And he didn't have the United States support at first. He was a man on an island in many ways, even within his own country. And he just stayed true. He knew it was truth. And it reminds me of, I was watching Jordan Peterson, and somebody, an influencer, was getting canceled for some reason, and the thing that the influencer has said was truth. It was absolute truth, and then he was getting canceled for it. And Peterson was like, you know what he needs to do? He just needs to keep going. Just stay steady. He just needs to keep speaking the truth. He needs to keep owning it, and it'll all come out fine for him. It'll all work out, no problem. Now, that's easy to say, but when you're in the thick of it, in the storm, it's really hard to do. It's really hard to stay in there.
But the point of what you're trying to say, though, Brannon, is a principle that I think maybe both of us subscribe to, which is that even in the midst of a storm like that, sticking to the truth may not always produce like the instant best outcomes. It'll actually maybe come with more pain, more suffering, more struggle, but in the long run, the outcomes will be the best they possibly could have by staying with the truth rather than trying to go and live a different lie.
It would have been a lot easier for Great Britain to roll over to Germany. Like, we don't want to lose men. We don't, like, okay, like, but instead, like, let's fight the fight, and the battle's going to be there, and it's going to be hard, but it's truth. I'm fighting for truth here, so I'm going to stay in it.
Yeah. I'm thinking of a past client, Brannon. This is one that, I had when they very first came in. There was so much. There was just your general kind of topic. There'd been an affair. They're trying to decide whether or not to stay in it. Really similar to this question right here, and they went the rounds. I mean, for a long time. He was very similar to what's being described in this question. Like, I think I want out. I want to go live this life instead. I want this other thing. Then he come back like 2 weeks later. He's like, no, I really think I need to stay. I need to stay. And it was just this battle back and forth. And it happened for a very, very long time. And what I can say is that she was in a spot where she kind of followed this pattern where her world was thrown upside down. But once she started to get grounded, she started to see a path that she could walk. And that path that she could walk didn't even really include making a decision about the marriage right off the bat. It included making sure that she got herself to a place of complete strength and complete clarity. Mm-hmm. And as she started to walk that path, there were moments where there'd be these flare-ups of like the past resentment again, or there'd be another small relapse kind of thing happen by her partner or whatever. And through the whole thing, she'd come back to getting steady, stable, making the next choice. That process took a long time. And in this case, and it doesn't always happen this way, but in this case, every single time one of those little skirmishes would blow up and she'd stay true to the truth for herself, that actually became its own version of a boundary that he was starting to press against. And eventually he realized that he wanted more. And he started to lean back in further, and he started to decide that what was the flash in the pan of this other lifestyle and other affair was not everything that it was cracked up to be, and that maybe fighting for some of these other principles that he really believed in would be the case. That process took a long time. It took, 3, 4, they're into it 5, 6, 7 years now. But in that case, because they both started to align themselves back to two individual recoveries that actually align with similar principles, they're going to have a much stronger marriage now with more honesty, more integrity, even though they've got some battle wounds and some scars than they had even before the affair happened in the first place.
Yeah. Yep. And I love that story. And what it makes me think about is, when a partner starts to get healthy, and I mean healthy, it's not just like I'm just angry. It's and I'm pushing away, and I'm just like gonna divorce you. But I mean like healthy,
Good help.
like I have compassion for you, and I have boundaries, and I know who I am, and they become more attractive. They become somebody that other people want to be around. And it really does, so many of the people that we work with, Tyler, that they want to know how they can motivate their partner to get into recovery, right? And the truth is you can't. However, you can influence them with your own recovery, and you'll give them an option. They'll be like, oh, shoot, like they're getting healthy. I can either go with them or they're going to go without me. And it's an option, like, because I know, like, when they say they will leave me if I stay down here, they will.
They've shown that they're already going to,
because they're healthy enough. They choose their truths over just saving our relationship at all costs. So now this is my choice. Like, I either got to get my butt in gear and get in recovery so that I can hang with them, or I'm going to lose them.
You talked about being in a rock and a hard spot in the situation that she's in, but that's also the pathway forward is that you kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, yes. Where, excuse me, where when you put the focus on the recovery of self, the healing of the heart, the reclaiming of the heart, the overcoming of whatever shame and damage and trauma that has been there, the byproduct of that work. So if I set my focus on a direction that I can see the end of the tunnel for my life, one way, either way, whether we stay together or not, I'm going to be the most full, complete, best person I can be given everything that I've been through. The byproduct is that it is the best invitation to the partner to either come along and join or to do something different.
That's the most motivating, best way you can invite them to come with you, is to get healthy. And it feels counterproductive because it feels like that might lead to your relationship ending.
It actually creates little gaps in that process. I'll give you an example of that. After my own D-Day with my wife, she left me for a while. And when she left, she kind of made these parameters of like, my biggest issue is the honesty piece, Tyler. I don't care about as much about this or this or this, even though that matters, but just the lying and the deception, the dishonesty. And then she came back after a while, and she came back and said, I still want to work on this, but I'm not in it for a dishonest relationship. And then over the course of the next, I would say, several years, there were no relapses anymore, but there were relapses with dishonesty. Mm-hmm. And I'd go into like old patterns of just keeping things secret or hiding things or denying things or rationalizing things or minimizing things. And every time that one of those things kind of finally came to the surface and was made manifest to her, she'd be like, I don't know if I can do this. I've already told you that I can't do a dishonest relationship. And because of that, I need some time and space. And sometimes that time and space was an hour or two. Sometimes it was a night. Sometimes it was a few days. And then inevitably it would give me a chance to sit and go like, do I want to live a life of dishonesty? Do I want to live a life of dishonesty thinking that I'm saving my marriage when in reality that's the one thing that could ruin it? And every time that she did her care for herself, it left me in this open space to then have to go, what do I want with my life? And then I'd have to make the choice. And in our case, I decided to make the choice that I wanted to be committed to figuring out how to become more and more systematically full of integrity and honesty. And over the course of all those years now, that's turned into something that's really beautiful with our marriage. But that wasn't a one-time decision either. That was a multiple decisions that she made for herself that gave me space to make choices for myself. And now I've made those choices for myself because I valued what was going to happen inside of that relationship and who I was supposed to be as a man living with integrity.
Right.
So I had to make those decisions on my own, but she gave the invitation just by doing her own work.
Right. And I think differentiating that is really important. What you said there at the end, like, yes, she invited you up. And the reason why you chose the shift was because you chose the shift, because you wanted to be an honest man. And that's where it starts to fit together now. It's like, oh, Tyler internally is choosing recovery, which then means, oh, the relationship has a much better chance now. Now, Tyler's wife, in asking for truth and having boundaries, reflected back to you like, hey, I need this type of a man to be married to. It might be you, it might not be you. Hopefully that wasn't your only motivation.
Well, and
it was both.
Well, and I think that's the key, Brannon, and that's what I'm trying to say here is that's why this is so messy, is because at the beginning, it was just the fear of losing her. But over iteration after iteration, it started to become this thing of like, wait a second, it's about me. And I had to even get to a spot where eventually I had to make the choice to do whatever I was going to do, whether she left me or not.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's who I needed to be. And the interesting paradox about that is that's what she was looking for all along.
Right.
Was a man who was willing to make his own choices based off of principles of truth.
Right.
And that's what I think you're trying to say right now. And that's the hard part when you're in the spot of this person who just submitted this question. She's not getting any of that. She's getting, he might be staying, but he never really communicates anything, but he seems to still be resentful and halfway out.
He is not in recovery at all.
He's not in recovery yet.
Yeah.
He's barely in recovery enough to stay out of fear, let alone to that next layer, which is, no, I'm staying because this is who I was designed to be.
Honestly, and I don't know much about the situation at all, I would not be shocked at all if he was still cheating, which is the little bit of kind of stuff that she's saying of what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some secrets still. And so that's why, he's kind of playing those games with her. Now, Tyler, I was talking to someone last week, and someone who's recently cheated on. And we were having a conversation, and again, young kids, all the things, and I said, divorce has to be an option. Because if divorce is not an option, and this goes against a lot of what we're taught, especially as Christians, is like, if divorce is not an option, then no matter what, no matter how unhealthy your partner is, you have to take it. You have to take it. And I do not believe, and this is just my personal belief, I'm thinking of my daughter. I don't believe that God would want a partner to take emotional abuse, to not live in truth, to not live their boundaries, all to just save the marriage. I believe that God would want you to fight for truth. And so what that means is, what that equates to in this equation is that divorce has to be a possibility. It has to be a boundary that can exist, or else you're just subject to staying stuck no matter what.
Well, what it does is if it isn't an option, then you've just notched off one of the options out of the four that are usually there, which is solve it. If you can't solve it, you have to learn how to see it differently. And if you can't learn how to see it differently, you better learn how to accept it. And if you can't accept it, then you just got to stay miserable.
Yeah.
And so if divorce is not an option, then you're stuck between those three options, which is you better learn how to see it differently, which might include a lot of mental acrobatics.
Yeah.
Maybe even some denial.
And if you are miserable, that's telling you something.
And that means you're probably not living in the truth, because if you can make peace with it honestly by changing how you see it, then great. But if you're still being resentful or bitter or burned out or tired, but you're saying everything's okay, you're probably in denial.
Yep. Well,
And there's probably some values inside of you that are being hit that are acting out in the ways of resentment or burnout or tiredness or depression or whatever else.
Yep. Tyler, we could go on and on with this. It's kind of hard when we don't know everything going on behind the scenes here. But I just want to say to this woman, like, my heart goes out to you. I can feel your pain through the question that you asked. And we'll pray for you. And you are powerful. There is hope. You can shift into something better. It's going to require some faith because you might not know exactly how this is all going to shake out. There's going to be some stepping into the dark a little bit. But you can do that. You can do this work and you can get through to the other side.
Thank you so much for your willingness to throw yourself out there in your situation. We obviously can only go off of the question we're given. There might be a lot more context, so make sure you apply whatever we've given to your context. If this is meaningful to you as listeners, or as somebody that would benefit from this, the best way to help us help other people is to share this, to like it, and we really so appreciate you being here with us. And until next time, you guys, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.